for the FDP series on journal writing, conducted by Internal Quality Assurance Cell of Shankala Sundarbai Shashan Jain College in collaboration with London Business University, Singapore. We shall start the session with a word of prayer.
Magalanam chesadi padamam havai mangalam Neerarun kadalodattanilabadantha kelidolagum Seerarun vadaraveda tigalvarada kantamidil Tekkanamum adisidanta dravidanal tiranarum Takkasiril piranudalum taritanarum tilakamume Attilaga vasanai polanai tulagum inbamura Pugal manakka iranda perum Tamilanange Sirilamai irambiyante sengal marantu வாழ்த்ததுமே
Today we have with us Dr. J. Isaac Nyanaraj, Assistant Professor and Head, Department of Computer Science, Bishop Heber College, Trichy, to discuss on the topic Writing Research Articles, Methods for Novices. He has completed his PhD from St. Joseph College, Trichy, under Bharatidasan University, and he has did his Master of Computer Application and with distinction. His research area includes mobile, wireless, and sensor networks, IoT. He has published 15 international and national journal papers, published one book titled Research in a Nutshell. He has 2 patents for his credit: Intelligent Virtual Reality Kit to Succeed in Phase Interviews, published in March 2022, and Cattle Behavior Monitoring System via Wireless Sensor Network, which is filed recently. He has Honors Diploma in Hardware Engineering and Network Engineering. He was a co-investigator for UGC-sponsored research project titled A Framework to Enhance Security Using Authentication, Authorization, and Accounting Mechanism in Network Mobility Environment in 2012-2018. He has acted as resource person and chairperson for various workshops and seminars, organized international conferences and workshops, participated in more than 50 conferences and workshops. His experience include 2 years in web development and 15 years in teaching higher education. He has been head of the Department of Computer Science, Dean of Research, and coordinator for T4E, Technology for Education, Don Bosco College. Thank you so much, sir, for accepting our invitation and giving your time to discuss on the topic Writing Research Articles, Methods for Novices. Sir, over to you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your invitation. So first of all, I would like to thank the college management from the chairman, secretary, principal, and up to all the faculty members for inviting me to give a small talk on this researching articles, the research articles. For me, it is really difficult to finish this topic within the stipulated time, within 30 minutes. But anyhow, I just skip some of my slides and I try to give what will be more essential when you are writing research article. And last week, last Friday, I hope you had a very good session with Dr. Caldwell Newton, who was my professor when I studied PG. And I hope you gained a very good knowledge in writing research article, especially the overall structure. So let me continue from his lecture, so that it will be very useful for you. So I don't want to go back again from the what is research article, because you are having a series of training programs, series of talks. So at this time, you might be good in all the fundamentals. So I just slightly move on to the next aspect of the writing the research articles. So before getting into this, let me just give a recap what Dr. Caldwell Newton sir said. So let me share my screen so that. So I hope my slide is visible to everyone.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So at this time, my face is not necessary. So I just stopped my video. Okay. So writing research article methods for novices. So the reason is that this is not for the who have already done the research, who already hold the degree. This is for the budding researchers. So that's why I just give the topic methods for novices. So I hope you know the meaning of novices. Okay, those are all the learner are called beginner or the budding researcher. So those people called novices. So if you already have gone through a lot of series of talks on research article, how to write, how to publish, and if you are already holding the degree, PhD degree, it may be refreshing for you. Simply, it will be like a recap. But for the budding researcher, I hope it will be useful. So this is the agenda, structure of the paper. This is just a recap and strategies for writing, and what should we avoid when you are writing the research article, and some of the confusing words, okay, and some common mistakes what we are doing whenever we are writing the research article, and what is the journal's preference, what they are expecting, and what does the journal expect. Okay, these are all the various things I'm going to discuss with you. And don't think at this list maybe seems to be very lengthy, but I try to complete within my permitted time. So in this case, I have a lot of slides, but due to the amount of time, I try to cut short the slides and I just give you only the essentials. So before getting into the exact talk, so this is a very famous proverb or a famous saying, famous statement. If an egg is broken by outside force, its life ends. If broken by inside force, its life begins. So this is just a thought I want to leave it to you, because almost all the educational institutions are motivating their professors, the teaching faculty community, to go for publication. So in this case, though the management is forcing or motivating you, the spark should be from the faculty. Even though you can have a number of motivational talk or workshops or seminars like this, but the spark should come from your own heart or from you. So if the egg is broken by outside force, the life ends. So if it is broken by inside force, its life will begin. So I hope everyone should start writing the research article, or at least start doing the research once you are completing all these series of talks. So structure of the paper. Okay, whenever you are writing the research article, there will be a standard format. So we cannot say this is the exact format or you have to strictly follow this format, nothing like that. But this is just a general template. So I can use the term general template. You can make use of this template. There are different types of paper. I hope you had already heard various types of paper, right? Review paper, concept paper, experimental paper, mathematical paper. So there are a lot of papers are there. And whatever the paper you are typing, whatever paper you are preparing, this will be a general format. So one or section may be different from one type of paper to another paper, another type of paper, but remaining are almost same. I hope this will be like a recap, because last week Dr. Caldwell Newton has explained all those things. So your paper should have the title, and title should be very concise, accurate, and it should be informative. And it should be having most relevant keywords. Recently, I come across one paper which is almost like abstract. The abstract is almost like a title. It was sent through a conference through a college. So they were a college in Chennai only. They conducted the conference. They received the paper and they sent me for review. And when I looked at the paper, really, I just got shocked, because the title looks like abstract and the abstract looks like a title. So the number of words is very much important. And whenever you are writing the title, some expert, they say it should have a maximum of 16 words. Okay, a title can have maximum of 16 words. That will be the limit. And if you exceed the limit, it will be no, it will lose the attraction from the researchers or the readers. And also it will be clumsy. You cannot understand what is there. So the title should be very descriptive. At the same time, it should be short. At the same time, it should not be too short. Recently, I received another paper. It's simply, the title is simply saying 4G security. And another paper I come across, cloud computing security. So this is not the proper title. This is not the good example for title. The title should reflect your research work. At the same time, it should be very crisp. தமிழ்ல சொல்லுவோம் இல்லையா, 4 வார்த்தை பேசினாலும் நறுக்குன்னு பேசுறான் அப்படின்னு, அது மாதிரி. So it should give the exact meaning when I read the title. And keywords, this is for the very specifically, these keywords are used for the search and also for the ranking, okay, in the websites, especially in online cases. And 5 or 6 keywords will be enough. And whatever the words you feel that these words are very important and your paper is coming around those words, sorry, you can use make use of those 5 to 6 words. And abstract. So abstract is also another mirror for your paper. Okay, the first mirror is the title. So simply looking at the title only, the researcher or the reader can decide whether to proceed for reading the paper or not. Okay, so the index, I can say this is the index of your paper. The title will be the index. Just by looking at the title, the reader can decide whether to proceed further with this paper or not. And the abstract is another mirror. So whenever a researcher or the reader is going through the online contents for searching the papers, they will be looking the first 2 parts. One is the title and another one is the abstract. Just simply looking at the title and abstract, they can decide whether your paper is useful for them or not. So the title and abstract is very much important. So whatever the words you are using in the title and abstract, you must be very careful. So it will be like a preview, and it can have up to 100 to 300 words. Okay, it will be summarizing the purpose, methods, research, and conclusion of the paper. And one thing what we have to avoid is the abbreviations and also the citation. The abstract, the most of the cases, the abstract will be considered as a separate component. Okay, because the abstract will be having all the areas of your paper. Your paper you should be having a introduction, motivation, background, literature, methodology, results, and discussions. There are a lot of sections will be there. The abstract will reflect all these sections. So the abstract will be considered as a paper. And most of the conferences you would have heard that first you have to send the abstract, and based on the abstract, they will be sending you back whether your paper is accepted or not. So because the abstract will also be considered as a separate paper, because it has all the components, whatever should be available in the full paper. So when you are writing the abstract, you have to be very clear. So introduction. So you are going to give introduction to all the technical aspects of your paper. Okay, starting from the core research area, and you have to narrow down and you have to reach the smallest part where you are going to concentrate much. Okay, so that's where the introduction has to be given. And for example, if you are writing a paper on network security, or in the network security for writing a routing optimization. Okay, in this case, you have to start from network and what are all the algorithms available, and you have to give the introduction to various terms what you are going to use in your methodology, and until you have to move on to the routing optimization. So in this area, you are going to give only introduction. What is what? That's it. So this introduction part will not cross one page of it. Okay, in the first page itself, the introduction has to be closed. And some people, due to increase the number of pages, they are simply increasing the introduction part. That is not a good practice. And recently, I received a paper for review. In that paper, the introduction itself is going for 6 pages, and the methodology and discussion they just finished within a single page. Okay, so really, I accept that it will be difficult to expand a paper for 6 pages or 7 pages when you're writing it for the first time. But 4 pages are enough. Most of the journals, they're expecting very short, descriptive, very crisp content. So they're expecting 4 pages. Within the 4 pages, you can give all your research. And I hope you heard that recently from IIT, one of the IITs, they have written a paper in mathematics. It's just only 1 paper. Simply, they just finished every research work within a single sheet of paper, and it got published. So don't worry about the content. But some people misunderstood that if the content is large enough, if it is going 12 and 18 pages, no, it will get much attraction and people will appreciate it. It's not like that. Okay, people will be going through your content and they will try to understand your concept, your research. That's enough for them. They need not to go for, even some researchers, some readers don't prefer to read the long number of pages, 18 pages, 20 pages, all those things. So the introduction should be very crisp and it has to give the essential information. And the literature review or the background or the motivation, and some journals may request you to merge these two, introduction and then literature review. And some journals expect these two as a different section. So in this case, before going for publication, before sending your paper to the journal, try to read the author guidelines. So most of the time, what we skip is that the author guidelines, because it is having a 4 or 5 pages. Okay, so better to read the entire author guidelines. In the author guidelines, they will be giving the entire guidance how to write the paper, what are the sections, how we have to use the numbers, what is the font style, so all those things. So literature review, we know, right? What are all the research projects or the research works already done in our area. So background of the problem, the literature's articles related to our paper article, and motivational factors. That means why we are writing this paper. So all those things should be there in the second section. And third section, we have to write the methods and methodology, the contribution. What is our work? Okay, that's what we are going to show here. So we have to project how we are conducting the research and the study, how it was done, how the data was collected, and the justification of the specific method, and the details of the experiments, and the description of how the data was analyzed. So all those things should be there in the methodology. And results and discussion. And some journals expect that results and discussion should be one section, that is in the same section. And some journals prefer the results and discussion should be in 2 different sections. So in this case, only the result and the projection of result. It can be visually graphical based or the table based. Okay, you are going to project what is the result that you have obtained from your research. So only these things should be there in the results. And in the discussion, you are going to interpret the results into the words. simply saying you are going to explain your results so that the reader can understand why you are conducting the research and what is the outcome or what is the benefit that you have received out of experiments. So that's what they can find out in the discussion. And the conclusion, it will be another mirror. Okay, so whatever you have written in the abstract, it will reflect. It will be reflected in the conclusion. So that when a reviewer is reading your paper, when a reviewer is going to review your paper, first they will look at the title, abstract, then directly they will come to the conclusion. Okay, so just by looking at these three components, they can decide whether we can further go with the paper or not. So these three are the mirror of your paper. So be careful with these three, and whatever you are specifying in the abstract, it has to be reflected in the conclusion also. Okay, and finally the references. You can quote the books and journals, conference proceedings, and the references has different formats. Okay, each journal they will be having their own format, even though there are some standard style, Harvard style, IEEE, some standard styles. Some journals expect the references should be in their own style. So before writing the paper, just look at the format of the paper, okay, which will be provided by the concerned journals, and you can go with the format. So when you are writing the paper, some strategies are there. Okay, so I don't say these are all the only available strategies. You can design your own strategy. Okay, the strategy will be different, but these are all the these three are very common, very popular strategies. One is the free writing, another one is the flexible writing, and third one is the collaborative writing. In the first free writing, you have to write continuously for a period of time without worrying about the formatting, logical structure, even the grammar. Okay, that is called the free writing. So whatever comes into your mind, you just keep on writing. Okay, you just type on the laptop or just keep on writing, because today if you are thinking about the concept, and tomorrow if you wake up and think of the concept, it may be there is a possibility that you may forgot, or no, the concept may be changed to something else. Okay, so whatever comes into your mind whenever you are thinking about the research problem or the experiment, or whenever you are doing the research, just write it. Okay, it will be like a scribbling. Okay, just take a scribbling pad and scribble whatever the concepts come into mind. And later case, you can compose all those things, and you can fine tune, you can reread, and you can rewrite, and you can fine tune your paper. So free writing is one of the best method for the budding researchers. And the second one is the flexible. Flexible may not be chosen for most of the researchers. Most of the researchers are using only the free writing, because whenever the concept comes into our mind, immediately you just take the note. So it will be there, and later you can look at the notes, and you can include in your research paper. But the flexible means whenever you are having timing, or you can fix some time limit. So within the time limit, you can write the paper and you can move on. And sometimes later you can change the content and you can move on to the results. And some people will be writing first the abstract, and they will be writing the conclusion. In between, they will be trying to fill the gap. And some people will be following the top to bottom, from the title, abstract, introduction, methodology. Some people will be going like this. Some people will be going from the bottom. Bottom means they will find out the conclusion. They will do some research without writing anything. They will find out the conclusion. So they will first write the conclusion. Then they will explain what is the result they arrived. And then they will be writing what is the methodology they used, what is the experiment they conducted. Then they will be moving to the background literature and introduction. So some people it will be easy. It is almost like reverse engineering. And some people will be the random writing. It is almost like a free writing. So whatever comes into your mind, they will be write then and there. And finally, they will sit and review entire content. They will rearrange the contents, and it will become to a final state. So writing collaborative, write collaboratively means 4 or 5 authors, depends on the context, depends on the research, 4 or 5 authors will be sit together and they will be start writing the papers. So in this case, the pooling of idea will be very effective for writing the very good article. So 5 authors means 5 authors will be having their own ideas, their own expertise, and they can give the inputs. And the 4 people can come to a conclusion and they can give a very good paper. So in this case, a quick delivery is also possible, because instead of as a single author writing the entire content, 4 or 5 authors can join together and they can write. They can take one part of the paper and they can write it. Finally, we can sit together and we can go through the entire content. We can review it. So in this case, the quicker delivery is also possible. Okay. So after writing the paper, this is my suggestion. After writing the paper, give it to your opponent or competitor, or simply saying for your enemy. Okay. So because if you are giving the paper, whatever you are writing, if you are giving to your friend, okay, so they usually don't want to hurt us. Okay, if they are giving any negative comment, we may felt hurt. We may feel hurt. So usually our friends will not give any negative comments. They won't criticize. But if you give to those who don't like us, okay, some people may not have a rapport with us. Some people will be always try to find out some faults on us. So you just give the paper to them. Definitely, they will give a lot of criticism, and don't take all those things for bad. Okay, those criticism are the real review comments. Just try to get all those review comments from your enemies. So those are all the real review comments, and you can go through each and every comment. Try to rectify them. If you could able to rectify all the comments, then your paper will be 100% ready for publication in a very good reputed WOS or Scopus journals. So try to make use of this practice. And I too used this kind of strategy. So review is important. Okay, before sending it to the actual journal review, just give it to your friends or some other people who knows that area and try to get some review comments. And one more thing, give it to some English professors. Okay, those who are all good in English, you just give it to them and make sure it doesn't have any grammatical errors. Okay, time is flying. I try to complete with this time. So some of the common mistakes what we have to avoid. So these points you can find out from the International Journal of Journal for Quality in Healthcare. In this journal, you can find out all these points. Okay. So the first thing what they are saying is that the stated aim of the paper is tautological, which means, so this is an example. The aim of this paper is to describe what we did. So the statement should not be like this. Okay, we have to avoid this kind of tautological or some vague statement. Especially in the research paper, whatever the information you are providing, it has to provide the exact information. Okay, many of the times people simply using the sum of the algorithms, very few algorithms, few methods. So these are all some vague statements. Some it must be avoided. If you want to say some algorithms means, then you have to quote at least 1 or 2 examples at there. Some examples like, and then you have to give some reference. Okay. So without the proper proof, you should not give any statement like this. And the structure of the paper is chaotic sometimes. Okay. Here they are giving the example. Methods are described in the result section. Okay. Each section should have the appropriate content. It should not be chaotic. So as I said earlier, some papers is having abstract is like a title and title is like abstract. So those things should be avoided. And the manuscripts does not follow the journal's instructions for the authors. The instruction for the authors is very much important. Okay. The first scrutinizing stage, the reviewer or the journal editor will be looking for the cross-check with the journal's instruction. Okay, always there will be a link available in every journal, author's instruction or guidelines for authors. So something like this will be there. Okay, just go through each and every line and make sure that your manuscript is following whatever the instructions is given from the journal's instructions. Okay, So that is the first step they will be doing in the journals. And the paper much exceeds the maximum number of words allowed. So some journals, they don't restrict the number of pages, number of words, but some of the journals, they restrict the words. Okay, so some journals I have found that they are giving the word limit for each and every content. Title should be 15 words, abstract should be 200 words, instruction should be 1000 words, something they are giving. So it will be much better. You just go through the author's guidelines, then you can find out, okay, what has to be done. And the introduction is an extensive review of the literature. Okay, it should not be like this. And this statement is given by this journal, but some journals are expecting the introduction and the literature review should be in one section. Okay, and you got to go through the author's guidelines. Methods, interventions, and instruments are not described in sufficient details. Okay, some manuscripts I have gone through for review, and they simply stated we tested through the particular tool. Okay, they don't give any additional information about what is the tool, how the inputs are given to the tool, what is the exact outcome obtained from the tools. All those information are missing. Okay, so you have to give a clear information about the tools and the methodology what you are using and how the interventions are going and what are the tools you are using. So all those things, and the results are reported selectively. This is almost like after conducting the research, if some of the results are not aligning with your research, now people feel that if they are showing those results, it will be giving a negative mark. It's not like that. Okay, it's all how you are defending your thesis or how you are defending your research work. Some results may be going wrong. So in that case, you have to give the reason why it has gone wrong. This is also a research. Okay, if your research is moving towards success, that is also research. If your research is moving towards some failed or the wrong answer or wrong inputs, that is also research. Here you can explain these are all not the good parts. These are all the not good ways. Okay, so don't go with the selective research. And some cases, the same results appear both in the table and in the text. Okay, and this is a strategy some people are using to increase the number of pages. This is not preferable, and there's a chance for rejecting your paper. That means some people trying to explain the whatever the data available in the table. Okay, the table components are repeatedly in the text, and some cases people are showing the both the graph as well as the table. That is also not necessary. If you want to show each and every data received from during the result section, you can use the table. Otherwise, simply you can put the graph and visually you can show the information. In this case, both graph and table is not necessary. If you want specifically to show the values in minor values in a very micro level, then you can show the table. Otherwise, simply graph is enough. Just interpret the graph. Instead of writing the values again and again in your text, simply you can interpret the table or interpret the graph. And detailed tables are provided for results that do not relate to the main research question. This is also for increasing paper. Okay, just to increase the pages, they are giving some detailed tables, unwanted details, and references are out of date or cannot be accessed by most readers. Okay, when you are writing the references, you got to be very careful. Okay, the references should be very recent and relevant. Some people just wanted to show 100 and 150 of references. They simply collect a lot of references. Whether even they don't think whether it is relevant to the research or not. Simply they are adding much number of references. That should also be avoided. And the discussion does not provide an answer to the research question. Discussion has to be written so that it will discuss the research question, the research problem. What is the research question? How the results are obtained? How you are going to interpret? Only those information should be there. But most of the cases it is missing. And the last one is the paper is written in poor English. And most of the cases, okay, the reason for get rejected is that the poor English. So you have to be careful. After writing your paper, try to give it to some English professionals and get corrected. They may not know the technical terms. Okay, if you are going with the physics, if you are going with the crystal growth or something else, and those terms they may not know. And if you are going with some algorithms, and in the mathematics, if you are going with the mathematical formula, the English people may not know. But just tell them to avoid all those jargons, the technical words, and they can look for the basic grammar. And some of the confusing words, you have to be careful. Okay, so this is almost like English grammar or English class. So I don't want to spend much time on this one. I just leave it to you to go on your own to study a lot. Okay, so these are all a few examples. Okay, temperature has an effect on the reaction. Temperature affects the reaction. The effect and effects are not the same. Okay, different. And you can see in another example, I used solutions in various concentrations. And the next statement, I used solutions in varying concentrations. Various and varying. These two are different. Meaning is different. And you can see the next example, less food. Okay, and fewer animals. These two are having different meaning. And again, the same way, next example, a large amount of food. The next one, the large number of animals. Large amount, large number, both are having different meaning. So in this kind of confusing words, or we can say this kind of ambiguous words, you have to be very careful. So before including those kind of words, go with Google, ask the Google man, and he can give you a lot of examples how to use less and fewer. So this is like there are a lot of words are there. Okay, so due to time, I'm just skipping all those words and just move on to the next one. So this is also regarding the English. Some of the mistakes what we are using. Its or its. Okay, one is with the apostrophe, another one is without apostrophe. So the without an apostrophe, it's a possessive version. Okay, so with an apostrophe, it's a contraction of it is or it has. So when you are using these kind of terms, you must be careful. And subject verb. So most of the cases we are having this kind of problem. Okay. So here is an example. The list of items are on the desk. This is not the right statement. Okay. And second one, the list of items is on the desk, because here the subject is the list. Items is not the subject. Okay. So whenever you are writing the verb, look at the subject. If the subject is singular, then you have to use the term single based. Okay, is. And if the subject is plural, then you can go with R. So in these kind of singular, plural, and then subject verb, there are a lot of confusions are going. So be careful on these things. And third one is another example. Watch, look, see. So likewise, there are a lot of other words are there. So due to want of time, we just finish only with these three words. Okay, look, to look at something directly. See, to see something that comes into your sight and that we were not looking for. And watch, to look at something carefully, usually at something that's moving. Okay, so but when you are casually speaking, when during our the normal communication, we are using these words, watch, look, see. But when you are going with the technical report, technical writing, you have to be very careful with the exact meaning of these words. Okay, I'm just skipping a few other slides and move on to the. So what is the journalist's preference? And active voice or passive voice? Which one I have to use? First person or third person? So in this case, the preference, okay, will be differing from one journal to another journal. So here, no journal is accepting the the general format, or we can say there is no general format which is acceptable by all the journals. Each journal, they are having their own style of writing, their own preferences. So in this case, again and again, I just repeatedly tell you, go with the author guidelines and read the paper, read the guidelines, then you can understand whether you have to use the active voice or passive voice, first person or third person. Most of the cases, the technical report should be in passive voice and it should be in third person. Most of the cases, they are expecting like this. And some of the journals are expecting the active voice and first person. For example, sometimes we usually tend to write, I have completed this research, or I have done a research. Some journals don't expect this I, or I mixed this chemical with this chemical. So they don't expect this one. They're expecting it like a third person. Okay. The chemicals are mixed with this. So instead of saying I mixed the chemical, they're expecting the chemicals are mixed. And again, I just say these kind of expectation are differing from one journal to another journal. So kindly go through the author guidelines. And what does the journal expect? So it should be original, not plagiarized, not submitted anywhere else for simultaneous consideration. And it should be within the scope of the journal, and it should contain the complete author's details. It is properly formatted and structured as per the author guidelines. It should include appropriate title, abstract, keywords, introduction, main content, conclusion, figures, tables, and references. So all those things, especially when you are giving the references, the figures and then tables, you should have the numbers. Okay, so numbers for a figure and table. So I know, all the general formats, right? Figure means the figure number and then the description of the figure. That is the title of the figure should be bottom of the figure. And if you are giving the table title of the table should be above the table. So those things are all will be common for all the journals. You got to follow these things. And is it novel and describe the research that advances the field? Is carefully prepared and presented with easy to follow sentences. So you got to be careful with the English sentence, and follows ethical standards in research and publications. And it rely on its scholarly contents with the proper reference citation. Okay. So whenever you are after writing the paper, whenever you are sending the paper to the journal, this is what the expectation from the journal. Okay. So you have to fulfill all these criteria, then only your paper get accepted. So what does the journal editor expect? The journal editor, what does he expect? Journal editors want to publish good quality science that is of interest of their readers. Okay. It should be within the scope of the journal. It should be novel and describe the research in a clear manner, and also it should be advances the field, and it adds to an active research field, is carefully prepared and formatted with all required sections, uses clear and concise language, follows ethical standards. So these are all the things expected in general. Okay, but if you go with the discipline base, and the expectation will be different. If you are sending it to the computer science journal, they will be expecting the experiments and the tools and some of the mathematical formula. And if you are going with the physics, they will be expecting the slight of mathematics. And if you are going with the English or language-based journal, they will be expecting the lot of literature quotes and the previous literatures. So the expectation will be different. Okay, but here, what are the points are listed? These are all very common for all the editors, and these points you can find out from the Springer. Okay, these are the expectations given by the Springer. So the time is out. I think we can conclude this my talk. So here is one thought. I just leave it to you. Research: shooting an arrow in the air, and where it lands, painting the target. Okay, is it a research? I just leave it to you for your thought, which means you are just shooting an arrow in the air. Actually, it has to reach the target. Okay, I know you people know the target. Okay, so there will be rounds, and it has to reach the center point of the round, the circle. Okay, but what we are actually doing, shooting an arrow in the air, and where it lands, simply painting the target. So is it a research? So I just leave it to your thought. And finally, one day or day one. So you got to decide. One day I will start writing the research article. You can decide, or day one. This is the day one. Today I'm going to start writing the research article, or I'm going to start the research. So one day or day one, both are having a very big difference, but it is up to you. You have to decide. As I told you earlier, if the egg is broken from the inside force, it will be having a life. Okay, so the spark, the fire should come from within you, and definitely you can fly with colors. So one day or day one. So you have to decide. Thank you. Thank you so much for patiently listening. I hope it would be a boring session because continuously I'm just talking without having any break because of the time and the content. So it almost 3 years of 3 hours of content, but I just concluded within 35 minutes. So it may be boring. Sorry for that. Maybe the next time I will give you the full examples, with the real-time examples and showing the papers and how the reviewers are reviewing with all the videos and all, everything. Okay. So once again, I thank you. Thank you, Deepa ma'am, and thank you, organizers, and thank you, the college management, for giving me this opportunity to explore once again. This is for me also. It is like a refresh. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Participants, if you have any query, you can post it on the chat box. So if there is no query, I request Priya to propose the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's an honor to propose the vote of thanks for today's session. I would like to thank the Almighty for making today's session a success. I extend my gratitude to our speaker, Dr. J. Isaac Nyanaraj, for taking the time to be a part of the FDP series on journal writing and for sharing his knowledge and insights. I thank all the participants who have taken the time out to attend today's session. A big thank you to our secretary, associate secretary for the constant guidance and support. My special thanks to our principal and vice principal for giving us the encouragement we always need. Last but not least, I would like to thank Dr. S.T. Deepa, our internal training team and the technical team for all the efforts and coordination for this session. Once again, I thank you all. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir, for accepting our invitation and joining us on today. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thanks. Thank you so much.
The feedback link is posted in the chat box. You can kindly fill in the feedback link so that you can receive your e-certificate. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.